Hello and welcome to the Heaven Bound Sunday School class at the First General Baptist Church in Truman. Scripture today will come from chapter 7 of the book of Luke, the first 10 verses. Still having a series of lessons on faith, and this time it's the faith of a centurion or a soldier. The scripture takes place in Capernaum, a city that was small, but it was a thriving regional hub for the area. And Capernaum served as a type of headquarters or base of operations for Jesus' preaching and teaching. He'd go out with the disciples, and eventually they would come back to Capernaum and regroup and go out again. And just a little trivia, 5 of Jesus' disciples were from Capernaum. Now we'll read that scripture from the Gospel of Luke. It says, "Now when he had ended all his sayings in the audience of the people, he entered into Capernaum. And a certain centurion's servant, who was dear unto him, was sick and ready to die. And when he heard of Jesus, he sent unto him the elders of the Jews, beseeching him that he would come and heal his servant. And when they came to Jesus, they besought him instantly, saying that he was worthy for whom he should do this. For he loveth all nations, and he hath built us a synagogue. Then Jesus went with them, and when he was not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to him, saying unto him, Lord, trouble not thyself, for I am not worthy that thou shouldest enter under my roof. Wherefore neither thought I myself worthy to come unto thee, but say in a word, and my servant shall be healed. For I also am a man set under authority, having under me soldiers, and I say unto one, Go, and he goeth, and to another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it. Now when Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him, and turned him about, and said unto the people that followed him, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And they that were sent, returning to the house, found the servant whole that had been sick." Now, as I said earlier, Jesus had finished his teaching and returned to Capernaum like he did so many times. And it says a centurion had a servant that was very, very sick, and to the point that we're ready to die. Now, a centurion, he was a soldier, but he commanded many men. Most people give credit to him to be in over at least 100 men, but he was a very important and senior Roman official around Capernaum, well known and very well liked. Now, we're not told how this centurion heard of Jesus, but word of mouth seems most likely. There's no indication that the centurion had seen Jesus previously or had attended one of Jesus' teaching sessions. The immediate crisis facing the centurion was the deadly illness of his servant. And this trusted servant faced death unless some miraculous intervention was going to happen, and only one person could help in that regard. Now, while he doesn't have a personal acquaintance with Jesus, the centurion knows others who do, and the centurion appeals to these Jewish elders and entrusts them to make his case before Jesus. And these friends of the centurion lost little time in appealing to Jesus. Their respect and affection for this Roman reflect the character of the centurion. He was known to be friendly to the Jews and had even underwritten the cost of a synagogue building. Now Jesus began to walk to the centurion's home, but his trip is cut short at the last minute. He's near the house when the centurion sends another delegation with another request, and he shows humility when he reports that he's not worthy to receive such a wonderful guest as Jesus. The centurion clarifies his actions of sending emissaries to speak for him. He has sent others because he does not consider himself worthy to come in person. This does not diminish his faith in Jesus' ability to heal. He further clarifies his request by asking Jesus to heal the servant from a distance. He says, I know you can do it. Now, the centurion explains his actions by drawing a comparison to his own position of authority. And he says, I give orders to soldiers who carry out those orders. The implication that Jesus can do the same demonstrates an insight into Jesus' character and power. It would be enough for the centurion if Jesus would give the order without coming into the house. Now, verse 9, when Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him and turned him about and said unto the people that followed him, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. Now, Luke adds a brief conclusion to the story. The emissaries returned to the centurion's home, and there they found the servant who had been at death's door to be no longer sick. Now, which is the greatest miracle? Healing the servant from a distance illustrates what miracles occur in a variety of circumstances. Sometimes Jesus must be in person while he acts from a long distance at other times. Sometimes the person must ask directly, while at other times friends make the request for him. Sometimes Jesus initiates the conversation, while at other times people must shout to get Jesus' attention. Now, miracles may be spectacular or the result of everyday actions. It's pretty spectacular when answered prayer becomes apparent immediately. Most churches have stories of times when prayers were answered dramatically and immediately. But is it any less miraculous when prayers are answered after the passage of long periods of time? Miracles may be the result of unusual linkage or timing. It's not uncommon for medical tests, for one reason, to result in the diagnosis of an entirely different illness. Had the first test not been ordered, the hidden illness would not have been discovered in time for treatment. Is this any less miraculous than the sudden answer to prayer? If you're the one experiencing the unusual linkage or timing, you can advocate for your miracle to rise to the top of the scale. Now, miracles change unusual situations when natural law is reversed, but what if prayers are prayed and there's no miracle? What if prayers are prayed but there's no surprise diagnosis to allow timely treatment? In these circumstances, the greatest miracle may not be in the reversal of physical circumstances. The greatest miracle may be the peace of heart, mind, and spirit produced by the presence of the Lord.